Hello, this is Brian. Today is Wednesday, August the 12th, 2020. I'm here in the Angeles National Forest near Big Pines, eastern Los Angeles County, San Gabriel Mountains near Big Pines Highway, just near Angeles Crest at an elevation of 6,600 feet above sea level. And I want to present an episode of Spotlight on Trees. This will actually be the second episode I've recorded today, but this episode focuses on a tree that provides a lot of awesome color here in Southern California. It's called the black oak, also known as California black oak, and this is Quercus kelloggii. Now, for this species, I'm probably going to do this in installments because of the fact that this tree has quite a seasonal diversity in its appearance. So this episode is going to focus on the basics of the black oak. Then I might do a highlight series in other seasons when the trees look drastically different. So what to say about the black oak? Well, it is a winter deciduous tree in the Beech family, the Fagaceae, F-A-G-A-C-E-A-E. It is quite common in parts of Southern California, and in some areas it's inexplicably absent. Here in the San Gabriel Mountains, it is very localized. It is basically only found in this general vicinity, near Big Pines, Wrightwood, and as far west as Baden-Powell, some areas near Mount Baden-Powell, like along Big Rock Creek Road at Vincent Gap. But then basically after that, black oak doesn't even show up, except occasionally planted in campgrounds. So, this is one of our most distinctive oaks here in Southern California, because unlike a lot of our other oaks, the leaves are your typical deeply lobed leaves. They're typically deeply lobed, like you stereotype oaks, like the oaks back east. And it has some kinship with a few of the species back east. So black oak, trying to figure out what the name black came from. Probably from sometimes the bark may appear dark from a distance. But speaking of bark, the mature bark of the black oak is furrowed and sometimes kind of checkered, like this. This is the bark of a mature black oak right here. And these trees can attain quite decent sized trunks. These are actually fairly typical sized black oaks, maybe even a little bit larger than typical for what I've seen here in the San Gabriels. There are some decent specimens near Mountain High ski area, but most of the time I spend in the San Gabriels, I'm usually not in black oak territory. It's usually completely, almost completely canyon live oak. But here we go. Here's another specimen right here. These are actually fairly decent sized black oaks. I've seen them much, much larger than this here in Southern California. So, what about the details of the black oak besides the lobed leaves? Well, the black oak has a moderate sized distribution. It's a western United States tree, basically from, I believe, Central Oregon to, I think Baja California Norte might host the southernmost stands of this tree, but it's mostly a California tree. It is found widespread up and down the west slope of the Sierra Nevada. I believe it's also found it will be found in the Coast Ranges and the foothills thereof, and can grow from quite close to sea level to here in Southern California, occasionally above 8,000 feet, which is not super common, but I've seen it once or twice. I've seen it at 8,000 feet, specifically near Blue Ridge here in the Angeles National Forest. I've seen it a couple times. It's not very common, but I've seen it there. So, other things about the black oak. Very hardy tree. maybe not quite as hardy as maybe canyon live oak or the evergreen live oaks with the thick, leathery, waxy leaves, because these leaves are a little bit thinner, which is pretty typical of winter deciduous trees. And what I mean by winter deciduous is the leaves shed in fall, the tree is completely leafless in winter, and then leaves out in spring. Usually these trees, their fall color, their fall leaf period is usually, it's pretty variable, depends on individual stands and individual trees. I've seen them start to change as early as late September in this area, and a lot of times by late October they're at their full peak. So, speaking of that, what's the fall color like on the black oak? Well, for the most part, the black oak changes various shades of yellow in the fall. That is something I can't show you now because we're in the middle of August. So that's why I might put this into an installment series, because I want to show you what this tree looks like in fall. But yellow, tannish yellow is your typical fall color for black oak. However, hues of orange and red are not out of the question. I've seen some trees that had a predominantly yellow fall color crown, but with some even scarlet, some leaves with some scarlet in the leaf veins. So, I mean, but looking at black oaks all against a dark green coniferous forest where they're typically found, it's quite a striking image. Lots of dark green pines and firs. Then you got black oaks with these golden yellow leaves. So, what type of an oak is a black oak? There are different types of oaks, different lineages. Here in Southern California, the oak lineages are the white oaks, section Quercus or Lepidobalanis. Then you got intermediate oaks, which is Protobalanus. And then you have red oaks, which is Erythrobalanus or Lobatae. Black oaks belong to the red oak group, the Lobatae or Erythrobalanus. And typical characteristics for trees in that lineage are acorns that ripen in 2 seasons. Black oak is no exception. These are going to be developing into this year's acorns. Some of these may be more like next year's. This is going to ripen this year, so it takes 2 growing seasons. So the flower blooms in, say, April or May. Usually April or May is the bloom period, because these trees could be quite late to leaf out. The flower buds and leaves will open up usually late April, sometimes early May. They're quite late to leaf out, except in low elevations. So the flowers are these little stringy catkins. Let me see if I can find an old example. This is what the male flowers look like right here. These little stringy things, these are the male catkins. The female flowers look like miniature acorns. Let's see, can't really find. Okay, here we go. This is what the female flower looks like. It's going to be really hard to see in detail. Right here, these are the female flowers of the black oak that turn into these, the acorns. And the acorn of a black oak is moderate sized, maybe about this long, with an acorn cup about this long. Again, it ripens in 2 seasons, so any female flowers that were fertilized this spring of 2020 will more likely ripen in fall of 2021. These ones were likely fertilized in spring of 2019, and they are getting close to their mature size. So, like most red oaks, acorns ripen in 2 growing seasons. Now, what type of habitat does black oak like? Well, that's pretty variable. Here in Southern California, it's no exception. You'll find them in mixed conifer forests like this, where we got white fir, Jeffrey pine, sugar pine, incense cedar, big cone Douglas fir, Pacific ponderosa pine. So they'll be in mixed broadleaf and conifer forests, just like this. Pretty typical. Especially like Palomar Mountain in San Diego County. There's a very rich black oak conifer forest there. But they're not limited to forest. You'll also find them poking up in savannas, which are spaces of grassland punctuated by oak trees. You'll find them there. And you'll find them in different forms of different densities of woodland mixed in with other oaks. Common associates of black oak include interior live oak here in Southern California, very commonly canyon live oak, let's see, coast live oak. There are two varieties of coast live oak. Far northwestern LA County, the brewer oak, Quercus kelloggii variety brewery. So, what does that mean? Well, you can find them on dry south-facing slopes and in moister north-facing woodlands and forests. So their ecology is quite varied. So, comes the next thing. Quercus kelloggii will hybridize with other red oaks, making positive identification occasionally harrowing. In this area, I don't see any other types of red oak around. So, these are typical black oaks. You can tell here, the leaves are very deeply lobed. That's just typical for your black oak. However, it can hybridize with interior live oak, Quercus woodseni, forming Quercus marejus, which is the oracle oak. And oracle oak's leaves range from very shallowly lobed to barely lobed at all. And interior live oak is evergreen. Black oak is deciduous. So, oracle oaks will be in between. They'll lose some leaves, they'll keep some leaves. Some will lose most of their leaves, keep some. Some will lose very few of them and keep almost all of them. And then there's also a hybrid between coast live oaks. And depending on what variety of coast live oak, it gives you what types of hybrid oak. Quercus agrifolia variety oxyadania, the southern coast live oak, produces Quercus ganderi with black oak. Again, the leaves are kind of convex like the coast live oak, but they show signs of lobation like the black oak. There are none around here to show you, unfortunately. And then there's also Quercus agrifolia variety agrifolia, which I think makes chase oak. Quercus chasei, but don't quote me on that one. I haven't been around a hybrid between the typical coast live oak and the black oak, but I have seen the gander oak. So oaks between different lineages can hybridize, and I try to point those out on my hikes when I see them. But the black oaks, one of the preferred acorns for the Native Americans. Where you got black oaks and big rocks, you got these little carving bowls called morteros or metates, where they grind them. I believe the taste of the black oak is one of the most preferred ones here in Southern California and wherever oaks and Indians coexisted. Well, one last note. The black oaks can either be kind of shrubby, depending on how harsh, or to be quite large trees, depending on how much moisture. If you go to Palomar Mountain State Park in San Diego County and Cleveland National Forest in the area, some of those black oaks get up close to 100 feet. So, well, that's it for this spotlight on trees. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.